Welcome to the Alaska Weather Show. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service. And the weekend is upon us, and we continue to see a weather pattern that's going to stay rather much the same here over the next couple of few days. Again, if you need a recorded forecast, you can call 1-800-472-0391. Or better yet, when you go online, plenty of information there, weather.gov/Alaska. And an important programming note I want to continue to pass along, starting May 20th, that's Thursday next week. The Alaska Weather Show will air at 6:30 p.m. instead of 7:30, so that's an hour earlier, and that's only affecting those of you who get the show through KTOO 360 TV. So repeating, starting next Thursday for those viewers on KTOO 360 TV, you will be getting the Alaska Weather Show starting at 6:30 p.m. daily. Well, we had some interesting weather on Thursday afternoon yesterday near Palmer. Cold air funnel cloud or cool air funnel cloud. It's a much weaker cousin of the lower 48 tornadoes and severe storms that typically form in parts of the central southern plains, deep south, Midwest. You just don't get the instability or the wind shear that you need to get those really robust, what we call supercell thunderstorms that can produce very violent tornadoes. Nevertheless, it's still a vortice that, if it touches the ground, could potentially cause some damage. But as you notice, the lower portion of the photograph, you do not see that funnel extending to the ground. They are generally very weak and do not last a very long time, typically maybe on the order of a few minutes. I've seen many over the years in various locations, ranging from Nevada to the Great Lakes region along the Lake Michigan shoreline. So yes, we can tend to see these cold air type funnels here as we go through the late spring and summertime. Well, speaking of spring, the river breakup continues across the state. Though a little better news coming out of Buckland today. Yesterday, if you recall, I was speaking of the fact they had the village road there had 5 feet of water over it. The Buckland River had an ice jam in the vicinity of town. The water level has come down 4 feet. There still, though, is ice from Buckland down to the coast. So hopefully that trend will continue here through the weekend for that ice to push out. And typically, at least based on climatology and history, May 15th is the average date for the breakup there in the Buckland area. One other note, the Yukon River at Tanana, the ice is flowing along steadily. There's about 60% coverage reported this Friday, and it's moving on past town, so it'll continue to work its way down the Yukon system, and we'll continue to see rather mild daytime temperatures for Saturday into Sunday along the Yukon and Kuskokwim rivers, which will further cause this snow melt and ice to break up in higher river levels, so keep that in mind. And we need your help. If you do live along one of these rivers, we would appreciate your reports. If you have any particular photos or videos, especially if you're flying over an area, you can submit these reports to nws.ar.aprfc@noaa.gov. And again, if you see something more serious or more unusual, something you haven't seen before with the ice or the river level, you can call 1-800-847-1739 to speak to a River Forecast Center forecaster, because we need that information to help in our decision making and in what we do with our forecast and potential advisories and warnings. Well, on the satellite image, not much has changed here. This has been a pattern that's been ongoing here for the past almost couple of weeks. We have low pressure out over the Gulf of Alaska near Kodiak Island, lifting northward and weakening, but it's bringing another push of moisture that's going to be heading into the southeast here as we head through tonight and tomorrow, bringing additional rainfall to the coast and potentially some snow in the higher elevations there of the coastal mountains. And then off to the north, we have low cloudiness and fog along the north slope to the Arctic coast, intermixed with a few flurries or patches of light snow, nothing heavy, but mainly the low clouds and lower visibility. They're helping to cause IFR conditions for the pilots. And then out toward the west, we have an area of low pressure there out over the eastern Aleutians spinning its wheels, and that system is going to gradually weaken as it moves eastward here during the course of the weekend. And then across south central areas of the state along and south of the Yukon River, and especially just north and west of the Alaska range, we continue to see some instability showers pop up there, and with it even the potential for some isolated rumbles of thunder. And that'll be the case again for Saturday and on Sunday afternoon. So a quick check again, you can see one area of moisture lifting up through the Gulf of Alaska, another spin in the clouds there, eastern Aleutians, and then the lower cloudiness showing up there just northwest of Arctic Village, AKwx, along the Arctic coast in association with those low clouds and some areas of freezing fog. So this late afternoon, early Friday evening, low pressure continues to lag across south central areas. That feature is just not going to really go anywhere this weekend and provide at least the focus for some scattered showers and isolated rumbles of thunder with the daytime. Otherwise, low pressure there just off Kodiak Island lifting northward, and that'll hurl another area of moisture in through the southeast and south central coast, with coastal areas receiving additional rainfall. And then as we go through tonight, look for that low to approach just off the Kenai Peninsula, and it'll just kind of spin and weaken here as we go through the weekend. Areas back toward the southwest there, the eastern Aleutians, that low will continue to work its way eastward and weaken as well, begin to fill, so that by Sunday you'll see that low there out over the North Pacific, south of the Gulf of Alaska, weakening. The remnants of the one sitting there around Kodiak Island, and then just a trough of low pressure lags across south central areas, with persistent patchy flurries and some areas of freezing fog there along the north slopes and Arctic coast. So we're looking for low temperatures Saturday morning, lower 40s along the southeast inner waterways, south central coast there, generally upper 30s around 40. For the day tomorrow, could see 61 at McGrath, but other areas generally being kept in the 50s with the cloud cover, and upper 40s there along the coast of the south central areas, Kodiak Island all the way on over toward Ketchikan. And then lows Sunday morning, lower 40s in the southeast, upper 30s to around 40 degrees across much of south central, and temperatures should get up to about 55 Glen Ellen and Talkeetna on Sunday. Other areas along the coast, upper 40s to around 50 degrees. Low temperatures Saturday morning will be down in the teens along the Arctic coast, generally staying above freezing in the 30s along the Yukon River Valley. Highs could be well into the 60s, at least mid 60s there for Saturday afternoon, with looking like these temperatures are going to even hold into Sunday, maybe a few degrees cooler with some cloud cover. But low Sunday morning, upper teens to lower 20s along the Arctic coast, so a little improvement there, with lows generally in the mid-upper 30s across the Yukon Valley. And temperatures on Sunday along the Arctic coast still mid-20s to near 30 degrees, and in the 50s to lower 60s across the Yukon River. Across the southwest for Saturday morning, lows generally in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees across much of the area. And then as we go through the inner valleys, river valleys of the Yukon and upper Kuskokwim will be in the lower 60s, with highs generally in the 40s along the length of the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians. And then Sunday morning lows, most areas with the exception of the far west, there will be above freezing, though areas along the west coast and north and sound there up to Nome will be right around the freezing mark, with high temperatures Sunday afternoon in the 50s to near 60 degrees along the Yukon and Kuskokwim rivers as you get up further upstream, and then areas along the Arctic, or rather down along the southwest peninsula through the Aleutian chain should generally be in the 40s for highs. Quick check of the temperature outlook for the following weekend, next weekend, May 20th through the 24th. That's actually Thursday through Monday. Could see above normal temperatures, especially focused there on the southwest, especially around the YK Delta and into up through the Yukon Valley. And precipitation may end up being just a smidgen above normal there across the southwest peninsula back into the eastern and central Aleutians. So that's pretty much similar pattern that we've had. We'll continue to see above normal temperatures through the Yukon Valley here as we head over the next week or so. So again, that is your statewide weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, and we'll have more of our show coming up.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Well, it's time for your weekend aviation weather outlook. And for planning purposes, looking ahead for Saturday into Sunday, we'll continue to see IFR conditions along the North Slope and Arctic coast with areas of freezing fog, low cloudiness, Saturday morning actually into Sunday. And then down along the south central areas into the southeast, low pressure is weakening, moving up into the northern Gulf of Alaska with an occluded front that is also weakening. And that feature will keep IFR conditions going there across the northern Gulf and then back out through the west coast out over much of the Bering, including the Alaska Peninsula, especially on the Pacific side, out into the Aleutians. By Saturday afternoon, still IFR conditions there along parts of the Arctic coast and North Slope. Could be a rumble of thunder, isolated rumble of thunder from portions of the Yukon, upper Kuskokwim valleys on over toward the Alaska Highway down south toward Northway. And then areas along the south central coast, including the Kenai there, Prince William Sound, could see IFR conditions extending back southwest of Kodiak Island and across the eastern Aleutians and much of the Bering. For Sunday morning, IFR conditions are anticipated along the North Slope and Arctic coast, again for areas of freezing fog. And then areas of the south central Gulf there from the Kenai and Prince William Sound back down toward Kodiak Island, and especially on the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, as well as parts of the west coast, Nunavik Island back out over the central Bering Sea. And on Sunday afternoon, once again, could be an isolated rumble of thunder pop up there in the upper Kuskokwim Valley on toward the east. And then also still IFR conditions persisting there in the North Slope, Arctic coast, and back out over the eastern portion of the Bering Sea north of the Alaska Peninsula. Past conditions on Saturday, Anaktuvik will be IFR, especially there northward, VFR to the south by afternoon. Same situation at Adigan. Look for IFR conditions in the morning with IFR persisting if you're flying north. Areas to the south, though, heading toward the Yukon River will become VFR. And then further south in west, Lake Clark and Merrill will start out with IFR conditions in the morning, improving to MVFR during the afternoon. And we look for rainy as well as windy passes to be MVFR, early in the day becoming VFR. Further east, Isabel should be able to hold on to VFR conditions, and Mentastas, VFR conditions become MVFR during the afternoon. And Tanita also MVFR conditions becoming VFR. And further south, Portage will generally hold around MVFR conditions, though as we head into Saturday night and Sunday, look for IFR conditions to be more widespread in that area. And finally, Chilkoot and White Passes there in the southeast will start out IFR, but should improve to MVFR as we go throughout the day Saturday. Freezing levels will generally be above 4,000 feet across much of the west and interior, especially along the Yukon River. Areas of the southeast will see some higher freezing levels, generally above 4 to 6, even around 8,000 feet. And then as we get out toward the Aleutians, we are looking for areas below 2,000 feet, and with widespread low cloudiness and light precipitation, there will be a little better chance of some icing there across the central and eastern Aleutians. And speaking of icing, for Saturday, that region up into the tip of the southwest peninsula could see icing, some moderate icing between 5 and 15,000 feet. And then another area of moderate icing possible along south central areas, including the coastal areas of the Kenai, all the way down and through the southeast inner waterways. Upper level jet stream winds, strongest there coming onshore in through the southeast, upwards to near 100 knots. From the southwest, we have a strong low pressure circulation that's reflected all the way up there at 30,000 feet there off the tip of the southwest peninsula, with a stronger jet core bypassing just south of the Aleutian chain. Going down to 9,000 feet, we do see that low pressure circulation showing up a little better there over the eastern Aleutians. And ahead of it, there in the southeast, you are seeing southwesterly winds 30 to 40 knots at the 9,000 foot level. And then bringing it down to 3,000 feet, that low pressure circulation remains over the eastern Aleutians, with on the backside winds out of the north there at 35 knots. And then taking a quick check of turbulence, there will be a potential for turbulence between the surface and 5,000 feet across the southeast. And also, as we go back out through the Aleutian chain, surface to 3,000 foot turbulence possible there. That does it for your flying weather. Enjoy the weekend.
It used to be that you could only warn one person about a tornado after it had already blown down someone else's barn.
Now, on average, we're able to issue a tornado warning 15 minutes before the tornado's even there, and that wouldn't be happening without Doppler radar.
This NexRad system has reduced fatalities on the order of 45% due to tornadoes since its advent.
We have a lot more information now about storms and being able to understand how they develop, how they produce severe weather, and how that information might be used to improve warnings for our National Weather Service partners.
The lab is unique in that we serve the nation by supporting the National Weather Service in its mission to protect lives and safe property by improving the accuracy and the lead time of severe weather warnings.
We have a legacy of radar research and converting existing technology from military to weather purposes.
A recycled Doppler radar led to the development of NexRad, installed nationwide in the early 90s. It allowed forecasters to see storms like never before.
Not only did we help bring that technology to the National Weather Service and to help protect lives and property, but we have continued to upgrade that technology, keep it relevant, and keep it state-of-the-art.
Recently, a major upgrade was added. Dual polarization technology takes the radar from 2D to 3D. Forecasters now know more about what type of precipitation is falling, which is very helpful during winter storms, as well as how much rain is accumulating, resulting in better flash flood warnings. The radar can also detect and track tornadoes based on debris. Looking to the future, the National Severe Storms Lab is testing the capabilities of phased array radar. Originally used by the U.S. Navy, the antenna scans the skies electronically rather than mechanically, allowing the radar to focus on a storm.
With current technology, we get a full picture or image of what is going on within a storm every 4 to 5 minutes. So it's more like a snapshot. Whereas with phased array radar, we get that picture of what's going on in the storm every minute. So it becomes more like watching a movie. So we can do adaptive, rapid scanning on the storms that matter most, being able to provide the information that's most relevant when and where it's happening.
Another advantage of phased array radar is its multifunction capability, providing weather and air traffic information simultaneously.
Number one, it is a system that promises to replace and expand upon the existing weather surveillance radars. Secondly, to replace aging air traffic surveillance radars. And number three, it offers a potential application to meet Department of Homeland Security and defense requirements for identifying and tracking non-cooperative aircraft. With the replacement of all these various radars with a single system, the American taxpayer could realize substantial savings in cost.
You have a lot fewer radars to maintain, and the electronic capability of this also reduces maintenance costs because you do not have moving parts.
Not too long ago, the ability to predict severe weather was thought to be impossible. During the past several decades, research conducted at the National Severe Storms Lab has developed life-saving tools like Doppler radar. We've progressed from no warning of threatening weather to about a 15-minute lead time, and current research promises to extend that much further.
Our knowledge of severe storms and how they behave, and our use and ability to use the Doppler radar technology is in a lot of cases a direct result of that close working relationship, that research to operations component that we get between the National Severe Storms Laboratory and a forecast office.
That history and understanding of how these data can be used by our users and doing the research to help advance the use of radar technology, really it's what we live for, it's in our lifeblood, it's in our history.
It's now easier than ever to be a part of weather research. We just launched the MPing app for both iPhone and Android users, and it's totally free. PING, which stands for Precipitation Identification Near the Ground, is a research project by the NOAA National Severe Storms Lab and the University of Oklahoma. With the mobile app, you can send us your weather observations on the go. Are snowflakes falling on your head? Is hail hitting your car? Just select what type of precipitation is falling and press submit. It's that easy. It takes about 5 seconds and it's anonymous. Reports can then be viewed online. Our scientists will compare your report with what the radar has detected. This helps us develop new radar technologies and techniques. Download the app today, share your reports, and let's work together to make our nation weather ready. Learn more here and follow us.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
In today's marine weather segment, we start out with the sea ice, and we continue to see across the North Bering that the ice is breaking up significantly, with large areas of open water developing, especially south and southwest of St. Lawrence Island. We will generally see, though, a northeast to northerly component to the wind through the course of the weekend, so there could be some slight drifting to the south and west of some of the ice. Otherwise, we're continue to see the breakup underway here as we head deeper through the springtime. And for Saturday's marine weather for the southeast, low pressure is going to be weakening up across the northern Gulf of Alaska, and the occluded front that's butted up against the shoreline there of the southeast will cause winds to be mainly southeast to south through the inner waterways, upwards to 20 knots and waves of 2 to 4 feet. Areas along the coast, though, will see west southwest winds around 15 to 20 knots and swells generally 7 to 8 feet. On Sunday, still some of the inner waterways see a southerly component to the wind, but along the coast, winds will be turning more westerly, 10 to 15 knots, and again, waves generally running around 6 feet. The south central areas at low pressure will be riding up to just off of the Kenai, so winds ahead of it out of the east at 20 knots, but as you get back toward Prince William Sound, winds turn more northeasterly to north, 15 knots, waves a couple of feet, and then westerly winds, Cook Inlet and out off of Kodiak and also the Kenai, with swells there around 6 feet. And then on Sunday, look for more of a south-southwest flow at 10 to 15 knots. Swells will be around 4 or 5 feet there off of the Kenai and Kodiak Island, and inner waterways there tending to be less, around 2 or 3 feet. Across the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island, low pressure will be passing through the area and just south of the Alaska Peninsula. Winds ahead of it southwesterly, upwards to 20-25 knots, with swells on the Pacific side up to around 10-11 feet. But southeast flow ahead of that will allow for 2 to 4 footers there on the Bering side, and then as the low passes just south of the area, we will see winds trying to turn around more to the west-northwest, and picking up 15 to 20 knots, so rather light though considering the system. And swells on the Pacific side upwards to 9 feet, but only 2 to 4 feet on the Bering side. And going through the Aleutian chain, you can see that area of low pressure working its way up to the tip of the Alaska Peninsula, and winds will turn around to the northwest and west at 25 to 30 knots, with swells as high as 15 feet on the Pacific side, especially south of Nikolsky. But then back out toward Adak and Kiska and Shimia, swells will generally be around 10 feet. And then going into Sunday, more of a northerly component to the wind there across the central Aleutians, with swells on the Pacific side of 6 to 8 feet, and generally running around 5 feet along and northward into the Bering. Areas along the ice that's breaking up, we'll see winds initially out of the southeast, but trying to turn more to the north and northeast. Open waters, especially around St. George, 15 knots from the northeast with 6-footers. And then during the day on Sunday, across the region, north to northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, and waves over the open water 3 to 5 feet or so. And along the Arctic coast, we are looking for east-northeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Along the northwest coast, south of Wainwright and Point Lay, winds will try to turn more northerly there out toward Kotzebue Sound and Norton Sounds at 20 to 25 knots with the broken ice. And then out of the northeast to north, 10 to 15 knots there along the Arctic coast, and generally 15 to 20 knots the rest of the way down the northwest coast all the way along the Seward Peninsula. Quick check of the weather map shows low pressure lifting up into the northern Gulf of Alaska and weakening. The low along the eastern Aleutians will continue to work its way east-southeastward and gradually fill as we head through the weekend. The low that continue to lift up from near the Kenai there and just spin out and weaken, as will the low that emerges just south of the Gulf of Alaska from off of the southwest coast there. We'll tend to just fill in as we head through the weekend, with areas of rain, though, continuing along coastal areas of south central and southeast, though the rain will become more showery as we head through later Saturday and into Sunday. And just a quick program reminder again, starting Thursday, May 20th, the Alaska TV Weather Show will air at 6:30 on KTOO 360 TV.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.